Welcome to the Open Floor with Jamal Baptiste. It's a nice, warm, sunny day here in Los Angeles. I just had a nice conversation with my man Coco, proving all boundaries to be broken.
I'm Coco.
Okay.
And my birth name is Connor, but I never use that. I originally chose it because it's gender neutral.
Okay.
I am from Burbank. I'm ageless, but I am 25, which a lot of people don't believe because the Sports Center post said I was 23, but in reality, I was 23 when I landed that trick.
Oh, okay. Sports Center said you are a blind skater. Is your vision, were you born with it?
I was born with very, very good vision. I wouldn't say it was perfect, but it was incredibly good.
Okay.
But I was also born with this condition called LCA. It wreaks havoc on the rods and cones in my eyes that help me process light and color. As a result, first it was incredibly photosensitive, and then my vision just got worse as time went on. One thing that I'm incredibly grateful for my level of vision loss is I still have color perception.
Has that helped you with like daily things like getting dressed and just playing video games like I've seen?
So the way my eyes work and the way they filter images to my brain is like too much light or too little light, my visual acuity goes right out the window. Anything in between is sort of a middle ground where I can pick up colors and maybe a little bit of detail. So like playing video games by 3D sound. It's always a weird animal because with the constantly changing light, it's very difficult to tell a lot of what's on the screen. A lot of times that's all sound based, but like when I'm walking around or when I'm getting dressed, picking out clothes, it's just like know what colors go with each other. You almost memorize just almost by feel exactly what shirt is what. Like you feel, okay, I know exactly what shirt this is. I know this is gray, so let's throw on some black pants and then we're good to go. Like let's say a car goes by. I'm like, okay, I can't tell you what shape it was. I couldn't read the license plate, the badges, anything. I couldn't tell you what kind of car it was, but I could tell you it was red.
That's cool. How did you become a skater? How did you pick it up?
Skating came naturally to me. So like when I grew up, there was either one of three things was a constant in my life. I would come home every day and watch Rocket Power. I would watch that all the time, have my PS1. The biggest one was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. And I just went through the whole series. My dad, because we were both extreme action sports junkies, he would always take me to the X Games.
Okay.
Skateboarding permeated every piece of my life. And so I was just like, it's a no-brainer. I got to do it. So I got my first board when I was 7. As my vision got worse and I noticed I couldn't do normal things or certain things I used to take for granted, I didn't want to quit skating. So I didn't.
What was like your process of like learning how to skate when you were losing your vision?
It was a little bit difficult. If I could ride down a sidewalk and not hit the grass on either side, watch for where the grayish color of the concrete turns into the greens and browns of grass and plants and dirt and all those things. Like you basically you watch the borders and try to stay in between them. That was the scariest part to me. And I felt like before I would learn how to do any tricks, comfortable on the board, make the board your best friend.
That's interesting because like for me, I can't skate worth the shit, man. I suck. I've always been a scooter person.
I look at people who ride bikes and scooters and I think that is the most terrifying thing in the world. Like, even if I'm super high up in the air, that is going wrong, I can just kick the board out from under my feet and walk away. When you've got a big bike under you or like your hands on handlebars, I'm like, these guys are jumping and flipping and doing all this crazy stuff. Like that seems terrifying to me because you're more entangled with the vehicle. This is part of my dream. My follower count's been exploding. My dream job in the long term is I want to become a motivational speaker because in the same way that I'm trying to grow with my skating, like I'm mainly doing this to help kids like me who maybe don't have as much of a support system as I did. You know, kids, either if they have disabilities or they're in a different life situation and people are telling them they can't do things or they tell themselves they can't do things like skateboarding, music, acting, whatever. I had a support system to push me to get to the things I want to do. But I feel like some people aren't in an environment where they have that. So I want to be that. I want to be the support system for people who don't have one. So I want to go around to like schools and talk to kids. I'm not famous enough to even hope for dollar signs with any of this. Even if I could make money for anything I do, it would be nice, but it's not the goal. Certainly not the end goal, not the idea. Like, all I want, make people smile and show people that they can do whatever they want to do. Obviously, at some point, it's going to take up a lot more of my time, so I'll need to make money at it. It's not the end goal. It's not the idea, and I'm nowhere near famous enough to pass on any opportunity to make new friends, help anyone out with anything they want to do. At the end of the day, this whole mass community on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, whatever it is, I think people should try to bridge the divide between followers and friends. For me, I'm just flattered that anyone would reach out to me, much less anyone would actually take an interest in my story, because it's just like that just means that I'm doing something right. If I can give you that, just that little bit of motivation it takes to actually, hit the button and reach out to someone, type a little message to them, then that means that the world is limitless. Who knows? Who knows what I could do for someone else? I could make someone's day.
And we'll be right back with the open floor with Jamal Baptiste. And we're back. Now, on the break, I was looking on Coco's Instagram, and I saw that he has a hashtag called Fursuit Fridays.
I am a furry.
Yeah, so tell me more about that. I'm curious, because I really don't know anything except the stereotypes.
Yeah, see, and that's actually what a lot of people know, because furries rule the internet, but they also dig their own graves, because, when you're looking on the internet, no one ever looks for what a typical day in the life of a certain community is. They want the extremes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, a good example, if you think about like comic book collectors, nobody knows the average. I'll pick up what's here and there, I have a little collection, it's not too much. People either know the people who don't collect comics at all, or the people that have all the first edition, mint condition, worth thousands of dollars. That's what people know.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the same way, like with the furry world, people know the extremes, people know the outliers, but no one knows what the normal life is. And I'm gonna be honest, my life, even in the furry world, is far from normal. I guess the word is Therian, but basically my entire life I've spent identifying not entirely as human, because I hated humans, because humans were the source of my depression. They were the ones who bullied me as a kid.
Mm.
I hated humans, and I was like, animals are just cooler. So I developed an animal inside my brain that would take over my body, take over my life, and then I would dial it back and relearn the human rules in a human world. What has resulted from that now in 2020, as it's evolved completely, is my persona, the combination of furry and persona, which every furry has one.
Mm-hmm.
But my persona is Coco, is a black, white, and red, part fox, part husky. And I sort of tried to, as a kid growing up and trying to figure out what sort of animal worked in my head to escape the world of humans. Because again, like humans lie to people, humans cheat, humans hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
And animals just take things as they go and feel what they feel. I eventually adopted different traits of the animals I enjoyed, and in part channeled them back into human life. Like the fox part of me, it's like, I love attention. I can be a great distraction. I can make anyone notice me whenever I want to. But at the same time, when I want to be by myself, I want to be by myself. And when I don't want to deal with you, you will never find me.
Mm.
I always knew I was some kind of dog. And I found husky because I realized that I love my family. I love people who I can sort of gel with. I love energy, but at the same time, if someone isn't jiving with my energy, if I can't get along with someone, because there's a lot of dogs like, pit bulls, where they have such a negative stigma as being aggressive, but it's not that they're aggressive, it's that they just don't take a lot of shit.
Mm.
So it's like, if you're going to get up in my space and you're going to mess with me, no, I'm not having that. Get the fuck out of here. I just don't have a lot of patience for they don't have a lot of patience for dumb. But huskies, they're more like, hey, I don't like what you're doing right now, so boop, you don't exist anymore.
Hmm.
So like I'm not trying to harbor negative energy. I did enough of that when I was depressed, and the animal side, my persona, basically channeled that. When I was depressed, I was alternating between a Doberman and a wolf.
Hmm.
But once I really started finding myself and being comfortable in my life, I found a husky because I'm energetic, I'm social, I love everyone, and I can be aggressive or show anything like that if I need to. But usually it's only to defend either myself or someone who I find precious to me. Otherwise, I'm not going to go out and start fights. And if someone wants to start a fight with me, I'm gone.
Did you have any pets?
I had two cats,
Mhm.
one of which his name was Flower. I guess it's funny. He never liked being called Flower, except by me
Wow.
and my dad.
Hmm. What kind of cat was Flower?
He was gray. He was gray and some kind of Egyptian something. And he had what looked like mainly two shades of gray, and he had what looked like bangs. I grew up with him. Like, he and I were only a few months apart in age. We grew up together. Until he died, there was not a physical day that I've spent on this earth that I remember him not being there.
How long did you have Flower?
He died at 19. Also had another cat, and her name was Gabby. She was something special too. She loved everyone and everything. She was like, what are you doing? Can I be a part of it, please? She was an African Bombay, had the big old apple head and everything.
Mm-hmm.
She's had a host of health problems for almost her entire life, but she never let that slow her down. And the two of them, they were awesome. But I also have a tortoise named George, who is my best friend. I will keep doing that. But George came from my grandparents, and she's weirdly calming. She also has a bit of a personality that you start to notice when you spend time around. Like, okay, for a good example, George plays tag.
George plays tag. Okay, hold on. You have to explain how you and George play tag.
Okay, so last semester I was doing some reading for a final, so I had an audiobook on my phone. I was just listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking around the garden, and I noticed that George liked to zigzag across the backyard from one end to the other, and like at any angle.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started standing out there, she would walk up to me and then continue along her path after she touched my shoe. And anytime she did that, like anytime she was going to cross the yard, she would stop and make me the center point. She'd touch my shoe and then keep walking. So then what I did was she walked up and she touched my shoe and started walking away. So I let her get to the other side of the yard, and then I'd walk up and I would tap her shell, and then I'd run back to another spot in the yard, and then she'd run up to me and she'd touch my shoe, and then she'd walk to another direction. And then that's what we did for like an hour.
Making me want to go out and buy a tortoise. That is awesome. Wow. So you said your grandparents gave George to you. How old were you when you got George?
I must have been, because there are pictures of George on my very first iPhone. So I must have been maybe 14.
Okay.
Was hanging out with my friends, and they had never seen a fursuit before. So when they showed up to my house, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to run out and greet them right quick. And we took a photo, and I'm going to actually post that up on Friday. That kind of happiness you multiply by every person you meet, because then they take pictures and send them to their friends, or they hang out with people. But that's my only dream in life, is that someone out there, maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they're teetering on the edge, maybe something is just absolutely messing with them, but they watch a video, they hear a song, or they get a hug, they do something, they go see a show, they do whatever, and by the time they're done with all of that, life is okay. I want to have my own talk show, like whether it's like late night TV or like something like that. Like I want to be the next Jay Leno.
Okay. What would you name your TV show?
It's one of those things like where I love to name things.
Mm-hmm.
Small as it is, I think naming things is the most fun thing ever. My favorite thing about it is I don't like to like have an idea in my head when I go into something. Like I think I won't know the name of my show until I'm in the meeting room pitching it to the network.
Yeah, okay, I get
That's
you.
when I'll come up with the name.
I think I love you.
As someone who can't really see everything, how does sex work? I'm just curious. I've always wanted to know.
I was gonna say that first off, that's like the best question ever because I've actually been asked it before, and it's funny because the times that I get asked that is at the most random, out in public times, and it's full of red-faced stammering and
Yes.
everything's so awkward. But no, honestly, straight up, I will tell you, as if I had to imagine what it was like, what it would have been like had I grown up with the vision that I had when I was younger,
Mm.
I would almost say it's better to not have it because it's all about feel and connection and intimacy. I don't feel like being able to see does much for you. In fact, if you're the kind of person who, because I know plenty of people who not only do they rely on their vision and depend on it, but they end up in a situation where they might hear or feel something, but then discount it because they didn't see it. They end up invalidating information that was already given to them.
Mm.
And especially intimate moments when it's all about feel, it's, 95% feel and 5% something else. The information that their eyes give them and they don't trust anything else, those kind of people would really benefit from opening up their heart because, especially in intimate moments, now whether it could be sex or it could be, confiding something to a best friend, just any time where you're intimate, people instantly go visual. They look at the body, they look at the movements, they look at the environment. But if you do none of those things, if you let yourself feel, not just like physically feel with your hands, but feel in your heart and let yourself listen, not just to physical sounds, but to the energies around you, you really open up a new level of intimacy and it really helps for everyone. Again, it could be romantic partners, it could be best friends, family members, even coworkers. If you just try to feel them on every level, you can open up a lot more than you think you ever could.
Thank you for listening to The Open Floor with Jamal Baptiste, the only place where we always deal with big, never small, and we always keep it hot like chicken grease. Coco, a special shout out for joining us on episode 1. This is the first episode of many, folks, so please stay tuned. Episode 2 will be joining us very quickly. It's where I interview Miss Granny Coy Bundy, rising TikTok star. We had a very fun time. We talk about all types of things, even a little bit of hidden secrets that I hope I get to share. Blessings as always. Jamal Baptiste is out.